Wool, one of the oldest fibers known to humanity, has clothed us for thousands of years. But today, the humble fleece is no longer just a product of quaint shepherding. It's a massive global industry, with over 1.2 billion kilograms of raw wool produced annually across millions of sheep. From vast ranches in Australia and New Zealand to cutting-edge processing mills in Europe and Asia, the modern wool industry is a fascinating blend of nature and high-tech innovation. So, how does wool go from a sheep's back to the world's wardrobes? How are millions of fleeces handled, sorted, cleaned, spun, and woven, all at industrial scale? Today, we take you inside the modern wool industry to uncover the step-by-step process of mass-producing wool, from the farm to the final fabric. It all begins on sprawling sheep farms, or stations, that can span thousands of acres. In countries like Australia, New Zealand, China, and Argentina, sheep are bred specifically for their wool, not just meat. One of the most prized breeds is the merino sheep, renowned for its ultra-fine wool fibers, often measuring below 20 microns, thinner than human hair. Farmers carefully manage flocks, ensuring optimal nutrition, genetics, and health to maximize fleece quality. In some large stations, thousands of sheep are herded by ATVs, drones, and sheepdogs to centralized shearing facilities. Wool growth depends on the season, climate, and breed, and sheep are typically shorn once a year. Each fleece weighs about 4 to 8 kilograms, with the finest wool growing around the shoulders and sides. The timing is critical. Shearing often occurs in spring, before summer heat, and just after lambing to reduce stress. And while it may seem rough, modern shearing techniques prioritize animal welfare. Shearers are trained to handle sheep safely and shear with electric clippers, not blades. In top facilities, a skilled shearer can clip over 150 sheep a day. The fleece is removed in one piece, keeping the structure intact. This blanket of wool is then tossed onto a skirting table, where it's quickly inspected. Once the fleece is shorn, it undergoes the first stage of sorting, known as skirting. Dirty or low-quality sections from the belly, legs, and hindquarters are removed as they contain more vegetable matter, sweat, and contaminants. The remaining fleece is then graded based on several factors: fiber diameter, measured in microns, staple length, strength and elasticity, color and crimp, natural waviness. Finer fibers are destined for high-end garments like suits or base layers. Coarser grades may go to blankets, upholstery, or insulation. Each grade is weighed, labeled, and packed into hydraulic wool presses, creating dense bales weighing 180 to 200 kilograms. These bales are barcoded and cataloged for traceability. In major wool-producing regions, these bales are sent to centralized wool auctions or directly exported to scouring mills. Some countries like Australia operate massive weekly auctions, where hundreds of bales change hands between brokers and manufacturers around the world. Raw wool is greasy, loaded with natural oils like lanolin, sweat, dirt, and debris. Before it can be spun, it must be thoroughly washed in a process called scouring. At industrial scouring plants, massive machines process tons of wool per hour. The bales are first opened, teased apart, and fed into a series of long scouring bowls, essentially massive washing machines. Here's how it works. Hot water and detergent remove dirt, suet, sweat salts, and wool grease. The wool passes through multiple rinse cycles, gradually getting cleaner. Spinning extractors remove excess water between each stage. Finally, the wool is dried in large hot air dryers, reducing moisture to just a few percent. The result? Clean, fluffy, scoured wool ready for further processing. But there's more. Lanolin, a valuable byproduct, is extracted from the wastewater and refined for use in cosmetics, ointments, and lubricants. Scouring efficiency and water recycling are also crucial for sustainability. Many modern mills now reclaim over 80% of their water. Now clean and dry, the wool moves to the carding process. Carding disentangles and aligns the fibers using rotating drums with fine wire teeth. This step transforms raw wool into a soft, continuous web called a sliver. Carding also removes remaining short fibers and impurities. Next is combing, an optional but important process for finer yarns. Combing pulls fibers into parallel alignment and removes any remaining short or tangled strands, creating a smoother and more uniform sliver. Depending on the desired final product, wool from different grades, breeds, or even countries may be blended. For instance, Australian Merino might be blended with stronger wools for durability or with synthetic fibers for elasticity. Color can also be added at this stage via pre-dyeing, especially for heathered or melange yarns. By the end of this phase, the wool is clean, aligned, and ready to be spun into yarn, either for knitting, weaving, or felt production. The art of spinning has come a long way since ancient spindles. Today, automated spinning frames transform carded wool into yarn with remarkable speed and precision. There are two main spinning systems. Worsted spinning, used for long, fine fibers, producing smooth, tight yarns ideal for suits and fine apparel. Woolen spinning, for shorter fibers, creating softer, loftier yarns used in sweaters and blankets. The slivers are first drawn out, making the fiber stream thinner and more uniform. Then, spinning machines twist the fibers together at high speed, locking them into continuous threads of yarn. The level of twist controls the yarn's strength and texture. High twist for durability, lower twist for softness. Next, plying combines two or more yarns together, improving strength and balance. Finally, yarns may be steamed or relaxed to set the twist. These yarns are then wound into cones or skeins, labeled by weight, fiber content, and lot number. Modern spinning facilities can produce hundreds of tons of yarn per month, supplying fabric mills, knitting factories, or direct-to-consumer brands. Depending on the intended product, wool may be dyed either before or after spinning. Fiber dyeing produces rich, consistent colors used for tweeds or melange fabrics. Yarn dyeing, ideal for patterns like plaids or stripes. Piece dyeing applies color after the fabric is woven or knitted, common for solid-colored garments. In high-volume dyeing facilities, yarn or fabric is submerged in large pressurized dye vats, where heat, agitation, and chemical fixers ensure even absorption and color fastness. After dyeing, wool goes through finishing processes, such as fulling, controlled felting for denser fabrics. Crabbing sets the fabric structure. Raising and shearing lifts surface fibers for softness, then trims them for smoothness. Wool is then woven or knitted into fabric using industrial looms or knitting machines. These processes vary by end use: woven wool for suits, coats, and upholstery; knitted wool for sweaters, scarves, and socks; felted wool for insulation, footwear, and crafts. Once the fabric is finished, it's cut, sewn, and labeled, ready to become part of a winter coat, a cozy blanket, or a luxury scarf. From windswept pastures to precision spindles, the story of wool is one of remarkable transformation and timeless value. Millions of sheep produce billions of pounds of wool each year, but through innovation and care, the industry ensures that each fiber tells a story of nature, tradition, and modern science working in harmony. Next time you put on a wool sweater or wrap yourself in a warm blanket, remember, you're not just wearing a fabric, you're wearing a legacy. One that began on the back of a sheep and traveled through an incredible global journey. This is the amazing modern wool industry, where old meets new, and the past is spun into the future.